Do you remember getting your first job and how on the application they wanted to see work experience? So basically you needed a job to get a job. So you had to have a job to get a job, but you don't have the job yet in order to get the job. That's kind of what it feels like applying for artist residencies. They want to see artist experience, artist achievements, rewards, all these things just to get in. It feels really hard to get into when you've got nothing to begin with. Now, the tricky thing about artist achievements and awards is that it's very subjective, as unless it's an actual degree, like a bachelor's degree or master's degree. You're entering shows, a lot of them for paid fees, and then the juror who is looking for excellence and sometimes different criteria like that, but it's still very subjective to a person, and that's art. But it feels really weird to try to grab these achievements and awards and things. Art's a weird game in order to get these other achievements. I really want an artist residency. I'm trying to figure out why, because I think that will actually help me apply to them, and it might help me apply to more shows too. Shows are great for, I hate to say it, exposure, but unfortunately we kind of need it. Paying for exposure is a tricky thing that you can find a lot of other YouTubers saying what are the pros and cons of what makes that worth it for artists. I don't know if you're an artist watching this or somebody else is just following along on what I do and where I'm going with this. Either way, I want an artist residency. Maybe you do too. Maybe you're wondering what the heck it is. It's not a vacation. You're going out to a particular location away from a normal studio. Sometimes it's with someone else in a collaboration. I personally want the kind where you have to go out to the wilderness and face the bears and like hike for 6 hours to get to this awesome place and take pictures. I like nature and wilderness type of things, and I hope to really find that kind of residency and get into that someday. There are all different lengths of residencies, a couple weeks to a couple months. I've seen people do them for a year, and that's a big commitment because you're talking about moving and all of your things, or even paying your rent back home for a year. And not all residencies are actually even paid. Those are very competitive. Again, go back to that achievements and all the artist achievements, having to have those to get in to begin with. I want to start small, and do something short term. Sometimes you can have a +1 come with you, but not always. It also depends on where you're going. In my case, accessibility is also an issue. So there's a lot of things to think about, and it's also really cool that residencies are even an option for artists. How many careers are there options for these places? If you can travel and specifically have an immersion trip in that culture, whether it's, up north Michigan or Boston or Arizona, it's a whole different culture. Those are huge cultures right there, but you're immersing yourself in those areas to create something out of that. A lot of residencies either want an art piece donated to them in a certain amount of time created for them, or just a presentation to the public as well. From what I've seen from applications and other things in residencies, there's definitely a big give and take for both people. Unless it's a paid residency, it could be free, meaning you buy your whole way there. They provide lodging usually, and that's it. You have to travel up there, you bring your own food, your supplies, you have to pay your rent back home still, and they'll still require presentations and a donation from you. In that case, they're providing you basically a pedestal, and that's really weird to say, but they're kind of saying, hey, here's a frame for this cool artist, and we're going to show them off, which in turn goes to exposure, but that's also a really good spot for your resume for down the road. And all these little tiny experience points of an artist add up in the long run and enrich your art. That's what you're there for after all, right? You're immersing yourself in this cool place you want to be and picking up and learning and just having a lens to focus away from where you normally would work. And you can pick up all sorts of things in that area. There are paid residencies, which is a dream of mine, but I'm going to start small. short residencies, maybe a couple months someday. So why do I want one? Get away from the normal studio that I've got and just have that immersion. I'm gonna do more research about people who have gone on residencies and how that goes. And like I said, it's give and take. So what you're giving to them is art. They seem to want, I mean they, like almost any organization that has an application for residency, it's going to be competitive. And what they're looking at is your art skill, like how good are your basic technical art things. There are a lot of conceptual art residencies. I don't get it. Modern art is a little elusive to me in the conceptualness, so I'm not sure how they judge technical skill in conceptual art of that nature. Don't know. But there are residencies that look for that stuff too. These residencies for artists can be visual, writers, music. There's all sorts of fun stuff out there. It's a really cool opportunity. So what you're giving back to them with all of your artist experience is, I don't know, would you call it street cred? Would you call it just a sense of dignity that they've got this famous artist coming over to them? And if you know it enough, that might actually help people get into their program. That gives them, I don't want to say a dignity, but it definitely gives them something back. If you've got, I don't even want to say followers, honestly, but art is a weird game like that. Those kinds of things can help each other out. Now, I'm not saying I'm a rich and famous artist that can help lend my name to any residency yet. Not even really sure that's what I want to go for long-term in goals. But having those kinds of things, you know, like what are you doing with your life, artist? Then you can point to a few milestones in your journey. And of course, a lot of us artists who don't like labels don't really want to say, oh, I've got so-and-so first place award, because you can slip over into the hoity-toity artists very easily with awards and degrees and things like that. So how do you really want awards to go places that seem only unlocked by awards without wanting to enter the $250,000 art market thing? You notice artist goals like residencies, maybe awards, maybe shows, even in museums or things like that. I would love to know how you can turn that into a goal. The SMART goals acronym often says to make it measurable and attainable. That means all the steps to obtaining that goal are in your control. I can write 10 pages a day. Can I force someone else to buy it? Not really, no. So there are a lot of subjective art shows out there where you get awards and things like that. Okay, cool. That's kind of the whole point of art. If it wasn't subjective, we wouldn't have so many different kinds, and that's a different video. How do you get those goals if the subjectivity is in someone else's hands? You keep on trying and trying and trying and trying, and it's a very strange game to play. So I want a residency, but it feels like that goal or that dream is in someone else's hands when it's based off of achievements and rewards and fame. That's the wrong word. I don't know what other word you can add but fame right now. So artists and non-artists out there, how do you see those kinds of art achievements or those art goals? If there's something like that that you want, if you want to win an award, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But how do you turn that into a goal if getting accepted and chosen is out of your hands? Bribing is not an accepted form of achievement. But residencies, obviously you keep trying for those kinds of things. And how do you learn? How does that work? I need to know the secrets. Thank you all for watching very much. I'd love to hear your comments and tips for these kind of out of your hands goals. What would you call them? And how would you make them feel more obtainable and more of a step-by-step thing for yourself? Love to hear your thoughts. I'm not going to say like and subscribe because I don't have to say like and subscribe because everyone says like and subscribe, but look what I did there.